This artist has set herself apart through her work as a singer, songwriter, producer, composer, arranger, and redefining performances with a violin. I'm talking to Judy Kang, and you've played with Alaskan prog rock band, Portugal the Man, and Lady Gaga on the Monster Ball tour.
Yes, that is correct.
That's unbelievable. That was the biggest selling debut tour in the history of all time so far.
That's what I hear, yeah. Pretty awesome. I'm very honored to have been part of it and feeling privileged. Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. You're Canadian. You're from Edmonton, Alberta.
Yes.
And now you live in New York?
I do, yes. So I moved here I was in Edmonton, and then I moved to Philadelphia to study at the Curtis Institute of Music. And I was there for my bachelor's, and then I moved to New York for my master's. And yeah, pretty much stayed here.
Okay, so does your family still live in Canada?
They do. They live actually outside of Vancouver now. It's great.
And there's a really interesting story with your family. Before you were born, I love this story about your grandma having a dream when your mom was pregnant. Was this like really close to when you were being born?
So yes, I think what she had said, it was actually like the day of or the day before while she was in the hospital with my mother. My mother was about to give birth, and she, I think, just kind of fell asleep and had this dream, and she saw like a baby girl holding a violin. So yeah.
And then 4 years later, you actually picked up a violin.
I did. I was very fortunate. I had my first lesson when I was 4 in Edmonton. My first teacher was a Japanese woman from Suzuki Method, so she taught Suzuki, and I took private lessons with her, and I think she kind of recognized the talent from the start. It kind of came easy for me comparatively to other things I did. And so I just pretty much continued on from then.
And so you were playing with an orchestra by the time you were 6 years old?
Yes. So I was invited to play with an orchestra in Edmonton. I was 6 years old, and I played a concerto, first movement of Vivaldi's concerto. I remember that actually pretty well. It was pretty exciting.
Well, and then so the rest of the orchestra, they would have been all adults. Imagine them seeing a 6-year-old walk in and play the way you do.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very nice group. I remember really positive feeling. Everyone was like super nice. It was a great start.
Another cool story, the broken wrist when you were auditioning for your scholarship.
For Curtis Institute of Music, yes.
And then you got the scholarship though, right?
Yes, I actually was for an audition to get into the Curtis Institute of Music to study there, and it was on full scholarships. I have to remember very vividly. I was very active in my school, just kind of like played sports. I was kind of a tomboy, and I was playing volleyball, and I believe I had fractured my wrist from serving, and I kind of like fell back and landed on it, and it was like about 6 weeks before I think the audition. And they actually told me I had to keep like a little cast on for at least 6 to 8 weeks. So it was kind of one of those things where we had already planned, bought the ticket to get to Philadelphia for the audition. And they said basically we can't play at all or anything. And I think for some reason we just decided to do it. And I actually didn't play for like the next 6 weeks. I didn't really play, and I just kind of did the audition. And it, like looking back, it wasn't the most. I mean, I'm grateful for the outcome, but as far as the actual healing process, there was a reason you have to kind of not do anything for 8 weeks, because it was actually one of those things where it didn't heal properly, and for several years I felt some pain sometimes. Honestly, in the last 2 years, I think it kind of went away. And it's it's fine now, but it was one of those things where I remember being like, I don't know if it was the best idea, but I got into Curtis, so, I can't really complain, I guess.
Yeah, well, you're so lucky that it feels back to normal now. So is this the one you hold the bow with, or the other wrist?
Yes, it's the bow hand. So I am left-handed, so I don't know if that has to do with maybe it being less of there was less pressure to it, but I feel like, it was my weaker arm as it is because I'm left-handed. It wasn't the most ideal, but thankfully it seems good now. So,
well, everything happens for a reason, and it's feeling great now. Exactly. And that's a good thing because you are performing the Judy Kang Experience across New York and New Jersey all this summer. Yes,
that's right. Yes. I feel very lucky that things kind of are happening pretty quickly because the group actually just pretty much kind of came together, I want to say a few months ago, February or so. And we've been rehearsing, and it's been such an awesome experience, and like just really like a lot of fun playing with my bandmates that are just wonderful to work with and just as people. And so we're excited to be performing. Actually, our first concert is coming up in a couple of days in New York. So we're excited.
Who's your band? How many different instruments are you going to be playing with?
So it's Dan Kassel. He's the cellist, and he's a drummer. Jake Valois. He plays also guitar, our drummer. So he kind of alternates between the two instruments, which is really, it gives a lot more, I think, flexibility with song choices and vibes, which is pretty awesome. So
okay. You had your own self-titled album come out back in 2013. Are we going to be hearing songs on this tour from that album, and you're doing some covers too?
Yes, so I will be doing covers mostly. I would like to insert some of my own songs. It depends on, just like how it's going to sound programming the songs next to each other. So I might do a couple of the songs. What I'm trying to bring also is kind of like just a lot of jamming, a lot of improv. So we're going to kind of explore that within the context of covers and kind of how it relates to them and how it connects, and just kind of make it our own show, just kind of interpreting different songs and making it have our own sound.
So if someone wants to go to 3 of your concerts, they'll see a different show each time?
Yeah, so we'll be bringing a lot of the similar songs. We have kind of a mix, but as far as, just bringing a different vibe depending on the venue, the energy of the audience, the energy of just what we're feeling in the moment. We're going to be doing different sort of vibes with how we're beginning the show and, things like that. So just kind of like flowing and feeling just in the moment. That's like a really big thing that I kind of like to explore in general. And I find it to be very exciting to kind of keep that open. So there's not really like one sort of set way of performing the songs and interpreting them. That's something that we're going to explore more, I think, and experiment with.
And so you play all different kinds of music, from pop and rock and classical. Are you going to give the audience a taste of all of that?
I think it's going to be definitely a mix of things. I enjoy rock. I enjoy a lot of different genres. When we go into programming, it's not really about like, okay, we have to bring variety for the sake of bringing variety. It's more like it was very organic, the process. We started with like a list of all the songs that we all enjoy playing and that we love listening to. Like for me, it's all about the songs I grew up listening to and that I love listening to now. That's the more recent things that are coming out, and kind of putting together a program that like each song kind of fits with one another. And also there were a lot of times where during the rehearsal process, I would discover like another song by playing a song that we decide to rehearse. I'd be like, oh my gosh, now I'm starting to feel this song is connecting to this song. And let's try that song. Oh, that's connected to this other song. So kind of just exploring kind of what connects sound-wise, sonically, and like the vibe and the mood, and what just came to mind like in that moment. So the programming kind of was a process that it's both things that I enjoy listening to, which is anything from EDM, hip-hop, rock, pop, classical, also just seeing what really goes together well with the song that we played previously or what comes after that. So one of those things where I found it to be very exciting to kind of see how it came about without having to think it through, to kind of like trying to figure it out, coming together with it in like one session or something like that. So it's definitely one of those things where as we continue playing and performing, I really feel like things are just kind of going to happen with programming and with like coming up with ideas just kind of very organically, which is, I think, the most authentic way of expression for me personally. So I really feel I love just being open to that and not feeling like I have to take control of planning it, in this very moment. And so I guess that's sort of like the thing that has really like something that I discovered with this process.
So your rehearsals, your practice time, how much are you practicing leading up to this tour that you're doing?
So we rehearse together once a week, sometimes every other week. Everyone has their, things come up. We have our own concert schedules. So we try to do it once a week. And I think just exploring the balance of coming together, having a structure, having, ideas, but also being very open to when we're not able to get to playing everything and getting to rehearse everything, because it doesn't happen, like we can't rehearse every single thing in its entirety all the time. I think what helps is to kind of just have this mindset of we are going to just kind of have this structure, this sort of like skeleton, like an outline of the song, but also be open in the moment, because like I said, that I think that's what really is helpful, is to kind of like have this openness to allowing ourselves to be in the moment. And like, if we're going to have the option to shorten the song versus keep it going and jamming over it, or extending it, to have those options, playing around with that and reacting to like the energy of the room, the audience, and things like that. I think that what really is encouraging and cool is that like this group, we're capable of doing that. So all of us we rehearse, so we're also able to just kind of be in the moment and kind of get off whatever we were rehearsing. If it doesn't happen, we just kind of are able to react to each other and go with the flow. So I noticed that in rehearsals, that there's some times where, we'll have a game plan, but then we'll kind of get off of it for whatever reason, yet somehow it just kind of comes together. So I think that's what's really exciting too, is just kind of be able to be in the moment and see that it can happen, and then we can execute that. So,
well,
yeah.
That will be really entertaining. Like, now that we know that, going into a show, to watch you guys execute the whole concert and be working together like that will be really neat to know ahead of time and watch it happen.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, I think it's definitely one of those things that will always keep the program and each experience very unique and different. So I think that's what it's all about, like it's all growth. So, we're going to do like show after show after show, and hopefully each time we just start to just get, more and more familiar with each other, with the music, with playing in front of audiences and different audiences. It's just a process. Like I always think that performing is actually the best practice, because we can only do so much in the rehearsals and practice room, all the technical things, all the stuff we need to be prepared. But at the end of it, like ultimately what we're feeding off of, like the energy of each other, the audience, just what we're feeling in the moment within ourselves. And just because people were just so variable, and we bring in everything of ourselves into each experience that we have in life. And today might be a bad day, tomorrow might be a good day, whatever it is, but whatever that moment is going to be what we bring to that. So it's always going to be different, and I think that's what makes it great, though. So I always, like, for me, it's not there's no mistakes. If something didn't go a certain way today, you can always do it better next time, or change it up, or, just learn from it. So that's something that I always take away from performances.
Many great shows throughout New York, New Jersey, and you're even doing Times Square Summer Concert Series in September, on September 6th. So looking forward to that. And that's the Judy Kang Experience. And you can check it all out on judykang.com. And your music is available on the platforms as well. It was really great talking to you. And thank you so much for taking the time with me.
Yes, thank you so much as well.